So, to start with, can you tell me about what you studied and where you went to after you did that?
Yeah, so I did the Media BTEC course back in 2010 to 2012. Originally, I thought I was going to have to do a 3-year course, but then due to grace, I was able to do the 2-year. And yeah, straight into it. It was great. I wanted to find a course that was more practical, and I didn't want to do exams and stuff like that. I know it's changed since, but at the time that was what I was looking for, and it was perfect for me because it gave me the chance to work with kit. It gave me the chance to just learn the ins and outs of what kind of paperwork and processes you have to go through when you're putting together something for any kind of client or anything like that. But also to kind of get a bit more of an appreciation for what I was watching. So, for example, films, like I did love my films, but I think after doing that, I think I've grown, I had a bit more of an appreciation due to how they're made and what goes into it and how many people have to go into it. You always see the credits, but not everyone watches it. While now I probably watch it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense considering what I just watched. So yeah, I think it kind of broadened my horizons in terms of how much goes into even a small advert. You know, it's a lot of work and it's good to know.
Okay, so you did that with us for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
8 years ago. I'm trying to remember what year we're in.
I know, yeah.
Lockdown tricks you, doesn't it? So you did that. You left us 8 years ago. So what's happened over the last 8 years?
Uh, well, to be honest, I remember when I was at college, there was it's always the next step is to go to university. I didn't want to do that, but I kind of made a deal with my dad where I said if I've got a year to kind of get enough work to kind of make it livable. If not, I had to go to uni. And I did get a bit because while I was at college, I was working at Free Radio, volunteering. But then after that, I actually managed to get a tech operative job on the, well, it's not there now, but what it was called the Goal Zone. And basically we did all the live commentaries for Wolves, West Brom, Coventry, Aston Villa and Birmingham. And I used to do that every weekend and sometimes midweek. I remember once I was in my lesson and I had to ask Cara when she was there, I had to ask her if I could leave early so I could go and get to work because I had to get to Birmingham at very short notice. So yeah, I had that to fall back on. But I also did bits and bobs writing for online websites, Real Sport, stuff like that. But not enough really for me to be able to say, you know, I can live on this. So unfortunately I had to get to uni, but I must admit the uni, I probably wouldn't be where I am today without uni because it gave you that bit more of an insight into the industry, but also it's a great place to meet and make contacts, which is what I kind of used it for. I think I'm a prime example of someone who, yes, I did well in my studies and stuff like that, but my focus was so much on the work and stuff outside of it that's where I actually benefited from it, because when I was at uni I was put in charge of the sport department of a radio station there, and I kind of put my all into that because I knew that yes, the grades are important, but it's what I do outside as well, which is going to be the things that they're going to look for. And it actually was, because I managed to get live football commentary sorted for the station, which was the first time they've ever done it, and that was on DAB. It was at a Tamworth Football Club, so it's non-league professional, so they were happy with that, which I used to do every other week, which was a lot of fun. But on top of that, I was still doing my free radio. I was still doing my online writing. I was actually also working at Asda on a Sunday, so I could pay for it all. So yeah, I was non-stop. I think when I was at uni, I had four jobs while I was doing it. So I think it's important to find the balance between the two for sure. But that all led into, on my final year, when I met PLP, they came in the one day and did a bit of a pitch as to who they were. And I think you may remember when I was at college, I always knew I wanted to go into sport media. Like that was always the goal. And when they called me in, I was like, it's a sign. Had my CV and business card ready for the little speech to give them at the end, and then luckily must have pleased one of them because they invited me to an open day. Went in and they said this is the person who's to talk to, because he's where you'll get into the business. Did that, and then I think less than 2 weeks later I got a job offer, so I've been there ever since. But yeah, I've worked my way up from there. I started as a content logger, which is essentially I had to move to London, which was a big thing on my own. But then I've become a content logger, where I essentially was watching Premier League archive Premier League matches and just logging what was happening, which was both fun and also tedious, because obviously you want to do more things. But from that, I also was, shadowing other things. So I was working with the news department there. I was doing bits and bobs on the other higher media management side of things, which then within less than a year, I was actually bumped up to a media coordinator, which is a lot more responsibility, because basically everything that comes into the studios for all the different departments, you've got to look after and make sure it gets in, which is what I was doing. And then that was all in my first season there. The second season, I was actually put in charge of the logging team while also media coordinating. So that was the first half of the season. And that went very well. So much so the gaffer said it was the best logging team they had. I didn't know how much to take from that, because the following season there was no logging team, but I'll let them go. But also in that second season, it was about January, straight after New Year. I had a phone call. I was actually back home with my mother in Asda, and I had a phone call, and they wanted me to try a planning role on the Premier League World Team, which is a show that's been running for years. It's like a documentary style show. It's one of the few shows, I should say, actually, that goes out around the world to all the broadcasters that we have, but also it goes out in the UK on both Sky and BT. So I obviously knew about it, and I was like, definitely give it a go. Even though I was looking to do more production AP stuff, I thought this is a good way to, again, see how they do it, see the processes and work it out. And then, I haven't looked back since. I've been in the role ever since. I think I've been in it over 2 years now, but it's great because they must like me, because they've sent me to Switzerland, they've sent me to Portugal, they've sent me to Edinburgh and back in a day to do a shoot. They let me run my own shoots, cut my own features while I'm still doing the other stuff. And it's, even though I've not got that title of AP yet, which, to be honest, the lockdown has kind of ruined that, because I was kind of looking to go into that for the start of the new season, but that's all gone crazy. But yeah, I've still had the opportunity to cut a lot of things and make a portfolio, which was always impressive for people who are looking in, because they see that you've put this together while doing all the other stuff in another role, which hopefully when everything goes back to normal will go to my advantage. So yeah, I've been busy.
So could you take me through then, when you say you went to Edinburgh and back in a day and cut the feature together, can you take us through what the lead up to that day looks like and what that day looks like for you?
Yeah. So it was actually a really good one for me, because it was with one of my favourite footballers growing up, Alex Ray, which probably not a lot of people know, but I'm a Wolves fan, so to me he was like God. And he was probably the only good player we had at the time as well. So basically, it actually all starts at me. It's all down to me to actually call the people and get in contact. I actually met him on another shoot I did at Molineux at the museum, where he happened to be there. I just got chatting, got his number, and then we got chatting, and we found out he had a rehab that he runs over there, and he talks about some of the issues that he had growing up with drinking and gambling and stuff like that. So for us, it's a very good story, but one we had to obviously tread lightly with. So it all started with me contacting Alex, discussing what we wanted to do. He was happy to do so, as long as it was obviously done in good taste. And then we organised a day, and it all started where on the morning, I think we got up at 4:30, got straight into a taxi from. We went straight into work because I only live around the corner. Got all the kit, so there'd be me, a cameraman, and I also had another AP with me. And we get on the flight. I think the flight was about 5:15 for a guess, but then we got there really early, got in a taxi straight to the rehab, where obviously it was so early there was no one there, but we were just sitting outside waiting with a load of kit, which probably, health and safety wise, is probably the worst thing we could have done, but there was literally nowhere else to go at the time. But then luckily he turned up 10 minutes later, so it was all good. And yeah, it's just a kind of, time management is obviously a big thing in terms of anything like this, because you want to make sure you get everything you need from it, but also you don't want to put yourself out of luck. And it's a constant mixture between managing the client, the interviewee, while also managing how long you want the interview to be, what extra shots do you need, if I need to shoot this in another location, how long have I got to get there and back before I need to get to the next one? You know what I mean? And it's constant running through your head, ticking through. So we did that, and then we actually went to his house, did something at his house, and then managed to get the flight just. So much so we were so late getting back, actually, that in terms of getting the footage back, we didn't have enough time to back everything up onto our hard drive from the cameraman that we had there. So then we had to work out a way for us to get the footage back by the time we actually landed. So we had to get another person to pick up the cards, and then we have this thing called Media Shuttle. And we had our media management team, which is what I used to work on, get in touch with them, set up an account. And it's like an online documents folder where you drag it in and it goes through a server. So by the time we got back, it was actually all there. So it all worked out. But yeah, time management was a big one for that, for sure.
Sounds like a good challenge.
Oh yeah. There's been a few like that. There has been a few like that.
Who's the most famous person that you've worked with so far?
Sounds a bit big-headed when I say this, Tom. The one I'm most proud of, well, the two I'm most proud of are Frank Lampard and Wayne Rooney. So basically, when Frank was the manager of Derby, straight away I knew I wanted to cover it. Even though it was Championship, it's Frank Lampard, Premier League legend, won the league. You know it's going to be a good enough story. I think I got in touch a month after he got the job, and it took me until the last month of that season to actually get it over the line. So to get that, and then it panned out so well that I managed to get everyone into Derby County Training Ground. We mic'd him up on a training session. I managed to get, I think we had 4 camera ops, a sound op. We managed to get, they'd literally give us free reign of training. So we turned up and we said, how much training can we get? And he said, just however you want, just don't get in the way. I was like, brilliant. So we had a camera following Frank with the mic. He had the mic there, so we could keep picking up on that. And then I was off with another cameraman getting the goalkeepers training, shooting in high motion, slow mo, real time, because obviously with the documentary style, you want to kind of get it all good together. On top of that, I was also in charge of the drone. So I was working with the drone people, saying exactly what shots to want. But because I had to sort out all the health and safety stuff and understand where they can and can't shoot, I was kind of saying, right, we can go around there, but you can't shoot on that bit there. I kind of pushed it a bit. There was one shot which is used in the piece, which they were really happy with. There's a bit where Frank, he was so involved in the training, he'd have all the defenders at the back and he'd be crossing the ball in for the attackers to go with. He was part of it. So we literally had the drone hovering 10 feet behind him, if that. But because of the lens, it looked brilliant. And every time he had the ball go, we'd come pan out a bit and it would work brilliantly with the ball going and him there. So yeah, total mad day. Because then after the training, we had to sort out the interview. So we all shot into this tiny little press room that we had. I think there was 7 or 8 of us in this room. And then Frank walked in, he went, all right. So yeah, it was a crazy day. But there's some people where, like Frank, who's media trained, who picks it up like that, knows exactly what you want and it'll give it you. There's some people who will fight it and make you work for it. The one that comes to mind is Louis van Gaal. When we went to Holland, we did a tour of Holland and we was in this hotel room that was dedicated to him by the hotel. It was called the Louis van Gaal Suite. pictures of him everywhere. So obviously he was kind of at home. And there was this funny moment where me and the AP that was with us, we was just sitting there and we was trying to do a bit of chit chat just to get him ready for the interview. And he just gave us this death stare, like, you better be careful. You don't ask me anything I don't want to talk about. And we were both looked at each other and like, we're going to have to be careful. But in the end, he was absolutely fine, brilliant. And then after it, he ended up talking to us for about 20 minutes. We actually had to go and interview Martin Yole, which was going to be in an hour's time. And we couldn't go because he just wouldn't stop talking to us. And we didn't want to be the person to say, Louis, we need to go. So yeah, it was funny, but yeah, really cool to, when you're a football fan, to really appreciate some of the people I've met. It's unbelievable. Just hoping to grow on that. The latest one I did actually 2 weeks ago, I couldn't actually go because of the lockdown. It's the first shoot we've done since lockdown where we've actually had a cameraman there. We had to do it outside. It was Peter Crouch. We actually went to his house and we did the shoot on his front garden, and we had to use an iDirect to make it actually look good. So because we can't do anything with the surroundings, so we had the iDirect where he's looking into this iDirect system where it's kind of like a mirror effect. You have a camera, but then you have another piece of equipment there, and it's like a mirror thing there. So when he's actually looking into that, he's not looking at the lens, he's actually looking at the interviewee. But because it's actually the lens, it looks really good. So yeah, we had to do that for him. I think we had a 2-hour shoot, and just as they finished, it started raining, so it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, good timing. That's some fascinating stories, Sam. Can you tell us about much you've got in the pipeline, or is that all a bit hush hush to be able to talk about?
The pipeline. Well, with lockdown, it's kind of made it hard to do anything major. I think Peter is going to be the next big one. I actually interviewed Brian Robson last week, which is going to be very tricky because he only had played, I think, 3 years in the Prem. Most of his career was pre-Premier League, so it's kind of one of them things where we've got to be really smart with what we do with archive. I think I made a list of everything that we think we need, and it was we kind of cost it up in our head, and we're like, yeah, this is going to be a big one. But when you've got someone like Brian Robson, Manchester United legend, European Cup Winners' Cup, then going into management with Middlesbrough, West Brom, there's so many stories we can cover. So I think that's going to be a really good one. I think him, Peter Crouch, and I think just before lockdown we did Stuart Pearce. So they're the 3 big ones that we're looking forward to doing next.
Wow, brilliant! I'm so proud of what you're achieving.
Thank you.
I really am for you, man. Like you've come miles. Like I remember you being at college, and you're always like, "Oh man, you're picking on me, man, because I'm from Bloxwich." And then we found out you weren't from Bloxwich at all.
Bushbury.
And I remember meeting you on like an open event, and you wanted to do radio stuff. And
yeah.
Like we don't really do radio, but it's the closest you're gonna find. And then we do like the ident project, and you came in, and you're like, I've made an ident for radio. Like I thought I'd sort of pollinate it. And I remember back then, like you were always right on the money. Like you'd be sat there like, you're telling me this isn't a distinction, man. Why isn't it good enough? What have I missed? What have I got to do? What have I missed? Like you were so meticulous and into the details. And it's so nice to see you doing well with yourself, man. It really.
No, thank you, man. Thank you. It's a long journey, but it's got there, kind of. Still going.
Yeah. Would you say that you live in your dream right now, or is it still somewhere else you'd rather be?
No, it's definitely somewhere else I'd rather be. If I'm honest, the dream was always to get a job in London and work in the Premier League. So yeah, kind of partly living it. Well, not right now because I'm back home. But the next part was also to go to the States because I remember actually I think I discussed this with you when I was in college. I was kind of like, the MLS, it's the next big thing. It's going to be huge. There's going to be big money there. And I remember discussing that with you, and I was like, I want to kind of be like the British go-to person for MLS. Not quite got there yet. Funny enough, though, where I work now, because it's Premier League Productions, but it all comes under IMG. And IMG actually owns the rights and runs all the stuff for Premier League, UEFA, EFL, MLS, Serie A. So, you know, there is actually chance for me to go to MLS if there is something come up. I can easily apply for something and see what happens. But at the minute, Premier League is, especially with Wolves there and what they're doing, I kind of want to be there to live it. But also because it's just a good platform to kind of learn the trade, but also show what you can do. They kind of give you that freedom. Funnily enough, actually, we're supposed to be at the Euros right now. I was actually supposed to be in Scotland for the Euros following the Czech Republic team. So, yeah, that was going to be where I was now. But luckily, Premier League have kept me on a bit longer. We're still waiting to see whether that's still the case with everything that's going on, but we'll just have to wait and see. But I've already spoken to my manager and he wants me there next season, so I'll be fine. You know, it's just uncertain times for everyone, you know, but you just got to just keep going, keep coming up with ideas, keep sending them through, and then it's as much as it is about ability and everything, it is also about pleasing the right people and meeting the right people. And all I can say, the biggest advice I could say is just get involved with anything you can, even if you think it's not worth it now. You might come across something in the future, and they're looking for someone who's done X, and you might have done a day doing X or 2 days doing X, and it will pay off. You know, just get involved as much as you can, and it will pay off.
That's ace, man. Thank you so much for talking to me today, Sam.
No worries, man.
All right. You have a good afternoon. Enjoy the footy of the weekend. It's good that it's back on, right?
Keep me busy for sure, man. 4 games on a Saturday. Unreal.